A reading from the Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to St. Matthew. Jesus said, "See that you do not despise any of these little ones, for I tell you that in heaven their angels always behold the face of my Father who is in heaven. For the Son of Man came to save the lost." What do you think? If a man has 100 sheep, and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go in search of the one that went astray? And if he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than the 99 that never went astray. So it is not the will of my Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault, between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile or a tax collector. Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Ushuha la laha minaif. Shuha lamshi hamara. A few years ago, I had a student that I noticed after class began, overall was a good student, very interested in the material, smart, very capable. But I noticed after a little while that very consistently, even within the first couple minutes of class, after a little while, he would just fall asleep. And just very blatantly fall asleep and just be completely dead asleep the entire class. And I noticed this for a couple weeks, and then after a while, I told him, obviously, like, hey, can you do something, maybe drink some coffee before or whatever. And he said, okay, I'll try it. And he tried and it didn't work. He was still sleeping. And then after another couple of weeks, I said, maybe he has an issue, maybe there's a medical problem, maybe there's something going on with him. So I said, listen, let's talk about this. Can we brainstorm, figure out what's going on with you? Oh, he said, sure. So we sat and we were talking, and I said, do you have a sleep disorder? Maybe you have insomnia, maybe you have something, that there's conditions that make you just kind of fall asleep randomly throughout the day. I was thinking maybe he needs to go to see a doctor or something like that. And then as we were talking, I just sort of asked him, I said, so how many hours do you sleep at night on average? And he said, I don't know, an hour or two, 1 or 2 hours. And I said, okay, I think we're getting close to the problem. And I said, okay, so do you have insomnia? Maybe you have to cut down your caffeine or something like that. He said, no, I can sleep when I want to. And I said, so why do you only sleep 1 or 2 hours a night? He said, I don't know, I kind of stay up and read things on the internet and watch things, and I watch TV shows and play games and stuff like that. And so I said, okay, why are you surprised that you have no energy for anything else? If that's how you spend your nights, and you're not sleeping at all, you're not resting at all, of course you're not going to have any energy left. When we spend all our time, all our energy, reading stuff and watching stuff that might not always be very beneficial, we're going to lose energy and we're going to miss out on much more valuable things. Jesus has this comment that he makes about children in their innocence. The context of this passage is how it's very evil and very wrong to lead children into sin. And so he says in the context of this, do not despise one of these little ones, for I tell you that in heaven their angels are always beholding the face of my Father who is in heaven. The angels, and he's connecting it to the innocence of children, they're always, 24/7, beholding the face of God in heaven. Always. We can't do that. We do have to deal with things. We have to work. We have to, go to school. We have to learn about what's going on in the world. We have to know the news. We have to know about the people in our life, and we have to take care of our families. We don't have a chance, like the angels do, to just constantly be beholding God's face and nothing else. But still, we can't do it all the time. But can't we do it some of the time? I have a similar conversation at least every week lately. with, sometimes it's moms and dads, sometimes it's younger people. Basically every week I have a conversation with somebody who comes to me and says, Father, I'm extremely anxious all the time. I'm always agitated, I'm always frustrated, and I wasn't like this before. And then I have a similar conversation. All right, tell me about your day. Tell me about what you do. And they tell me, well, I wake up and I do what I need to do after I wake up, and then I spend 8 hours staring at a screen and watching the news and looking at social media. And I say, and you're surprised that you're anxious, and you're surprised that you're frustrated. Human beings are meant to do more than that, and it's kind of like just drinking coffee all the time. And then at the end of the day, you're wondering why you're jittery. Sure, we need coffee, or I need coffee. If you don't, that's a blessing. We need coffee, but there's moderation. This is a principle in ethics that's extremely ancient. And we moderate really well the food that we intake. We moderate, well, some more than others, and we moderate all kinds of other things in our lives, how much we drink, but we're not moderating how much time we spend thinking about things that are really not worth that much time. And when we don't moderate that, of course it's going to screw up our system. And we're not going to have any energy for actually good things. And it's going to make us really unhappy. It's going to make us miserable. And we are doing this to ourselves. Just like that student of mine, it wasn't something that was happening to him. He was doing that. He was causing it. And we cause ourselves to be miserable by obsessing, by getting, and I know what it's like. I'm speaking to myself here. I know what it's like to get sucked into a screen and to not be able to break away from that. It becomes kind of an addiction. On top of that, it can lead us into sin. It can lead us into gossip. It can lead, a lot of social media is basically just gossip, like free gossip you don't even have to work for. And so we look at that and we get drawn into other people's lives and we look at what they have. And then we start getting jealous of what they have. And we look at what they say and what they do and we start judging them. And now we're falling into sin on top of harming our lives and ruining our days. It's leading us into sin. And of course, there's much worse things than that to find on the internet that are inappropriate to even say in church. Or even if it's sort of something a little bit better than that, we can listen to, there's podcasts, there's kind of YouTube channels. Some of the material is fine. Other is just kind of gossip disguised as thoughtfulness. Sometimes it's gossip disguised as theology, which is the most harmful of all. And it makes us hate or look down on other people. So what's a solution, though? We need to be connected to others in some way. We need to care about others. We need to learn about our world. We need to have some interaction with the news. So what do? I think Jesus gives a solution here. He says, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. So, if you hear about something that has to do with you, if your brother sins against you, go and talk to him. Anything else is not your business. If it has to do with you and some decision that you're going to make, I can make it a little bit more generalized, a little bit more broad. If he sins against you, then go and talk to him. Now, what does Jesus not say? Jesus does not say, if somebody bothers one of your friends, take your friend and go off to the side and talk bad about that person. Absolutely not. That's another way to ruin your day. And it's completely against what Jesus is saying. If the problem is with you, you talk to them, don't get anybody else involved. If you haven't done that, do not go to the next step. If you skip that first step, you are gossiping. If you're going to go to somebody else, hey, I need advice about this person, now you're gossiping because you skipped it. You didn't talk to that person directly. If you did, go ask for advice from somebody you respect and have them come with you and talk. If that fails, then bring it to the church, or if it's a community issue, bring it to some leadership within the community and go to that person and face them. And then if it still doesn't work, you know what Jesus says? Forget about it. Move on. Treat him like you don't even know him, like a Gentile or a tax collector. He does not say spend 20 years of your life being sad about what that person did. Obsessing, being upset, being angry. We are not angels, guys. We do not have in this life, we don't have an eternity. We are limited in our time, and we are wasting our time. We're wasting our lives, which are very precious and very short in this world. We're wasting them, breaking our own hearts with junk that's just going to sap our energy and leave us with nothing, leave us empty, so that there's nothing left for God to gaze at his face. This is harming us. And the people that are quite happy to take our time and our energy, guys, the people that you're listening to online, they're not your teachers and you're not their students. They are selling a product and you are a customer. And that's fine. Go ahead. Give them those clicks. But limit it. Don't destroy yourself. Don't waste your life. Don't even waste your day. I think don't even waste an hour. Half an hour, fine. But limit it and make a rule for yourself. I'm going to do this for this long, and at this time in the day, I'm going to go and actually live life. You guys know we live in San Diego, right? You know there's other things to do than look at a screen. And we're wasting that and just kind of sitting in the dark, spiritually or physically, and the days are going by. Life is meant to be lived. And life in the end, yes, there's a lot of beautiful, great things, but in the end, even though we're not living this way now, the intention of God in creating us is that eventually in the kingdom of heaven, we will be like the angels, gazing at the face of God the Father all the time. And if we're doing none of that now, we're not getting ready for heaven. If our life has zero gazing at the face of God, we're setting ourselves up for failure. And so some of the other stuff, brothers and sisters, needs to go. Can't be an all-day thing. It shouldn't even be a big chunk of our day. Throw it in the garbage. You're going to thank me in a week if you do this. And it's going to be hard because it's an addiction at first, but fight against it and you will see your life will be so much better.